Charlotte's truck left a plume of dust as it raced toward the farm. She found Eric on the porch, whittling a piece of cedar, the knife stilling as she got out.
Grandpa, I need to tell you something, and it's the hardest thing I've ever had to say.
Easy, girl. Whatever it is, we'll manage.
Patrick's mother, Victoria, she says you don't fit the wedding aesthetic. She's insisting you can't come.
The old man's hands went still around the cedar.
Well, I reckon a cattleman doesn't belong in a ballroom. If that's what they want, I'll stay put.
I am so sorry, Grandpa. I should have fought harder. I am a coward.
You are no coward. You are my granddaughter, and that's all that matters. Now go on, before you miss your own rehearsal dinner.
After she drove away, Eric didn't move for a long time. The only sound was the wind through the pasture. But 3 months earlier, a different storm had already passed through that same kitchen. Lily, Eric's daughter, had shown up with red-rimmed eyes and a crumpled letter.
Daddy, the Harlows want a wedding that costs more than my house. They expect us to pay half.
Half? Lily, we don't have that kind of money. What about Charlotte?
She's heartbroken, but Patrick is caught in the middle. Victoria is relentless. She'll cancel the wedding if we don't match their standards.
Eric folded his arms and stared out the window at the cattle.
I'll pay for it. All of it. But no one can know, not Charlotte, not the Harlows, especially not Victoria.
Daddy, you can't. That's your retirement, your land. I can't let you do that.
The land's been good to me, but it's just dirt without family. I'll set up a trust, anonymous.
By the end of that week, a $400,000 check had cleared through a blind trust, and the wedding planner got an unusual call. 3 weeks later, Marcy welcomed the Harlows and Charlotte into her cramped office, where the real battle for the wedding began.
I've waited a long time for my son to marry. This will be the society event of the season. The guest list must be impeccable. Charlotte, your side of the family. I trust there are no embarrassments? We need photogenic faces, not feed store regulars.
Charlotte's throat tightened. She felt Patrick's hand on her back, but he said nothing.
Excellent. Then we're agreed. Marcy, I want every invitee approved by me. No surprises walking down that aisle.
Of course, Mrs. Harlow. I have a form right here.
As Victoria rattled off demands, Charlotte's mind drifted to an old man on a porch, miles away.
And no jeans, for heaven's sake. If I see one pair of denim at my son's wedding, I'll have security escort them out.
She's talking about Grandpa, and I am letting her.
Marcy checked the budget line again, paid in full by an anonymous trust, and kept her mouth shut. While Victoria drafted seating charts, Eric mended a section of barbed wire at the north pasture. The kitchen phone rang, and Eric picked up the receiver.
This is Eric. Lily, what's wrong? You sound like a storm.
Daddy, Victoria sent back the guest list. She crossed out your name with a red pen.
Lily, don't fret. It's just a chair at a dinner.
But it's wrong, Daddy. After everything you've done for this family, they treat you like dirt.
I made a deal with myself a long time ago. My pride isn't nearly as important as that girl's happiness.
After the call, Eric sat alone at the kitchen table and pulled out a tattered photograph.
I'd do it all over again for you, Charlotte, in a heartbeat.
Then he placed the photo back in the drawer and walked out to his cattle, where the only judge was the sunset. 3 days later, Victoria hosted a bridal shower at her Houston estate that felt more like a coronation than a celebration.
To dear Charlotte, who is rising so gracefully from such a quaint rural background, we are so happy to welcome her into refined society.
A few guests tittered politely. Lily's face went pale. Charlotte bit the inside of her cheek so hard she tasted copper. Mother, perhaps a toast to the bride rather than her zip code.
Of course, darling. To Charlotte, who will soon learn that family trees are best pruned.
She just cut my grandfather out like a dead branch, and I am clapping.
After the clinking subsided, Victoria pulled Charlotte aside near the gift table.
I do hope you've spoken to your grandfather about the dress code. We can't have overalls in the wedding photos.
Charlotte excused herself to the powder room and let the tears fall silently, one hand pressed over her mouth. That night, Charlotte returned to the apartment she shared with Patrick, her eyes still swollen, her jaw set like flint.
Your mother humiliated my family. She called us quaint, like we were something she scraped off her shoe.
She's just traditional. She doesn't mean it personally. It's how she was raised.
Not personally. She banned my grandfather from the wedding because he wears jeans.
I know it's hard, but it's one day. After that, we won't have to deal with her opinions.
One day where I'll be looking at an empty chair where the man who raised me should be sitting.
She's right. I am a coward.
If you can't defend my family now, what happens when we have children? Will she decide they're not suitable either?
Patrick had no answer. He just sank onto the couch, head in his hands. Later, alone in the bedroom, Charlotte picked up her phone and scrolled to Eric's number, but she couldn't press call. The week before the wedding, Victoria arrived at Marcy's office to finalize every detail. She was in a tyrannical mood.
I want the peonies flown in from Holland, the calligrapher from New Orleans, and the dove release at sunset. Absolutely no substitutions.
Everything is already booked, Mrs. Harlow. The Anonymous Donors Trust covered the premium packages.
Anonymous donor? Marcy, you have 5 seconds to explain yourself.
Marcy's face went white. She had said too much.
I misspoke. The budget just has some private funding that prefers to remain anonymous. Nothing to concern yourself with.
Victoria narrowed her eyes, but the mention of private funding never connected to a cattleman in denim.
Fine. Just make sure every chair has a monogrammed ribbon. I won't have a single detail look cheap.
Marcy nodded, exhaling slowly as Victoria turned back to the seating chart. The slip had been made, but the secret still held. For now, 3 days before the wedding, Eric called Marcy from his farmhouse, his voice low and steady.
Marcy, the final payment's been authorized. Remember, no one can connect my name to a single dollar of that wedding, and if there's anything in that budget meant just for show, imported nonsense, birds, pull it. I am paying for a marriage, not a parade.
I understand, Mr. Eric. The Trust's instructions will be followed to the letter. No one will know.
She didn't see Victoria, returning from the powder room, pause just outside the door. Victoria's hand froze on the handle. Inside, Marcy's voice rose clearly.
I promise, Mr. Eric. Your generosity will be a complete secret. The Harlows will never know.
Mr. Eric? That can't be the old man from the farm. Impossible.
Marcy hung up and turned to find Victoria standing in the doorway, her face a mask of icy fury.
Marcy, you will tell me exactly who Mr. Eric is, now.
He's just a donor, a private one. I'm contractually forbidden from saying more.
Contractual. I am the mother of the groom. Show me the file, now.
Marcy's hands shook as she pulled the trust agreement from her drawer and handed it over. Victoria's eyes locked onto the typed name, Eric Matthews. Donor, relationship to bride, grandfather.
Charlotte's grandfather? The man He funded the entire wedding?
Yes, ma'am. $400,000. Everything, from the calligrapher to the catering. He asked for no credit.
The room seemed to tilt. Victoria stared at the final page, a handwritten addendum in shaky letters.
I called him a feed store regular. I banned him from the photos, and he paid for every single rose.
I am so sorry, Mrs. Harlow. He was adamant that the trust remain secret. I should have been more careful.
Victoria sank into the guest chair, the trust papers trembling in her lap, the weight of her own cruelty pressing down like a stone. Victoria left Marcy's office without another word, the trust papers hidden in her purse like contraband. At home, she immediately called her attorney and read off the donor's name.
Confirm for me, Eric Matthews. Did he really wire $400,000 into that account?
She listened to the answer, and the last trace of color drained from her face. When Patrick arrived, She met him in the study, still clutching the phone.
Patrick, the anonymous donor your bride mentioned. It's her grandfather. Eric paid for everything.
You are telling me that the man you humiliated, the man you banned, funded my own wedding. Do you realize what you've done? Charlotte will never forgive this. I'll never forgive this. Victoria sat motionless, a reflection in the dark window, a stranger. The Harlow family now knew the truth. But outside these walls, an old man still sat on his porch, and a bride still carried her guilt, unaware. The next morning, a pearl-white sedan turned off the highway onto the dirt road to Eric's farm. Victoria stepped out, heels sinking into dust, and saw him on the porch.
Mr. Matthews, I owe you an apology. There's been a terrible misunderstanding.
No misunderstanding, ma'am. You didn't want a cattleman at your society wedding. I am clear on that.
Please, let me make it right. I am inviting you now, sincerely. You should be there.
That invitation would stick in my throat. You are only here because you learned who wrote the checks.
He pulled his old cell phone from his pocket and dialed Marcy without another word.
Marcy, it's Eric. We're going to change a few things about that wedding.
Victoria stood frozen, the dust settling on her designer shoes, as Eric's quiet voice gave the first instruction. Whatever Eric was about to say, it would change everything, and Victoria knew she had no power to stop it.
Cancel the imported flowers. Pull the New Orleans calligrapher. No Dove release. Not 1 penny goes to spectacle.
Victoria's mouth opened, but no protest came out.
Take every dollar from those and put it toward a down payment on a house. A real start for Charlotte.
He spoke like a man ordering cattle feed, not dismantling a $400,000 gala.
But Mr. Eric, the guests will notice. Mrs. Harlow specifically chose.
I don't care what she chose. I am paying for a marriage, remember? Not a parade.
He glanced at Victoria, who now looked like she'd swallowed glass.
Understood. I'll reallocate the funds immediately. The trust will be modified.
Good. And Marcy, my name still stays out of it. This is for Charlotte, not for show.
He pocketed the phone. Victoria's 6-figure dream had just been turned into a first home fund, and she hadn't said a single word. Victoria drove away from the farm, her knuckles white on the steering wheel, Eric's silhouette receding in the mirror. By the time she reached Houston, Patrick was waiting in the study, his tie undone, and a storm brewing in his eyes. Did you really think you could fix this? He stripped everything you wanted.
I was wrong, Patrick, about him, about Charlotte, about everything. I've never been so ashamed.
I am telling Charlotte tonight. She deserves the truth, even if it shatters everything.
Please, not tonight. Let her have her wedding day without this hanging over her. Afterward, I'll confess myself.
You are asking me to lie to my own bride on our wedding day. Silence stretched between them, heavy as the oil portraits on the walls. Fine, but after the vows, there will be no more secrets. I won't start my marriage with more of your poison. He left the room without another word, the secret now a knot in his chest that would tighten with every passing hour. The afternoon before the wedding, Charlotte pulled into the venue, expecting the grand floral arch she had approved months ago.
Where are the peonies? The calligraphed menus? This looks like a barn dance, not my wedding.
There were budget adjustments. The donor felt some of the more lavish items weren't necessary.
What donor? No one told me about any donor. What is going on, Marcy?
I can't say more. The instructions were clear. It's for the best, I promise.
This has Victoria written all over it. She's punishing me for being too provincial.
She spotted Victoria across the lawn and strode toward her, fists clenched.
What have you done now? You stripped everything. The flowers, the calligraphy, to humiliate me one last time.
Victoria opened her mouth, then closed it, her face ashen. She couldn't speak the truth, but she couldn't lie.
I thought so. You've been erasing my family from the start. Well, congratulations. There's nothing left of me at this wedding.
Charlotte stormed into Lily's kitchen, collapsing into her mother's arms.
Mama, Victoria gooded my wedding. It's just a bare tent now, like some kind of joke.
I can't keep this secret any longer. My silence is breaking her.
Lily's mouth opened, but the confession stuck in her throat.
Mama, what is it?
I hate seeing you like this. Your grandpa would be so proud of you.
After Charlotte cried herself to sleep, Lily picked up the phone.
Daddy, Charlotte thinks Victoria stripped the wedding just to humiliate her. She's broken, and I can't tell her the truth.
Lily, you hold that truth one more day. She'll learn everything after the wedding, and she'll understand. I promise.
Eric's reply was patient. Then I'll take the blame. You just keep our girl steady. In her kitchen, Lily nodded, a terrible weight settling in her stomach. The night before her wedding, Charlotte sat alone in her childhood room when the door creaked open.
Charlotte, I can't let you walk down that aisle not knowing. Your grandpa paid for the wedding, all of it.
What? No, that's impossible. Victoria said there was a donor, but I thought she was just...
He set up a trust. Victoria only found out 3 days ago. She went to the farm, and Eric told her to pull every fancy item and put the money toward your first home.
He paid for everything, and they made me uninvite him. I've been hating him for nothing.
Charlotte pushed past her mother and drove to the Harlow estate in her pajamas, her heart a storm.
You knew. Both of you. My grandfather gave $400,000, and you let me think he didn't care.
Charlotte, I was wrong. I went to him begging for forgiveness, but he refused me. I wanted to spare you the pain until after the wedding.
Spare me? You've been humiliating my family for months. I can't marry into this. I can't even look at you.
She turned and walked out, leaving Victoria and Patrick in stunned silence, the wedding now hanging by a thread. Back at her apartment, Charlotte shut the door and slid down to the floor, her tears finally breaking free.
How can I marry a man whose mother tried to erase my own family? But I love Patrick. He's not her, and I won't let Victoria win by giving him up.
She pulled a notepad from the coffee table and wrote in shaky letters, "After the ceremony, drive to the farm."
I'll walk down that aisle, but my real marriage starts when I see Grandpa.
She picked up the old photograph of her and Eric from when she was 12, both laughing on the pony. Then she dialed Eric's number, her thumb hovering. After 3 rings, his voicemail answered. "You've reached Eric Matthews. Leave a message, and I'll try to call you back before sundown." Charlotte listened, tears streaming, but hung up without a word. She needed to see him in person.
Tomorrow, Grandpa. Tomorrow, I am coming home.
The morning sun lit the simple white tent as wildflowers rustled in the breeze. Charlotte appeared at the end of the aisle, her dress simple, her head high, clutching a bundle of bluebonnets. As she walked, her gaze brushed the front row. Victoria sat pale and rigid. Lily dabbed her eyes. On the altar, Patrick's eyes were full of love and guilt, but he smiled when she reached him. The ceremony was short. When the officiant pronounced them man and wife, Patrick leaned in and kissed her.
I love you, but I have to go now. I need to see my grandpa.
Patrick nodded, a sad smile on his face, and squeezed her hand. Then, before the guests could rise, Charlotte turned and walked back down the aisle, still in her dress. Her truck waited outside. She climbed in, veil fluttering through the open window. As she drove away, Patrick stood at the entrance, watching the dust settle. The familiar dirt road stretched before her, the same one she'd raced down weeks ago, with a shattered heart. At the gate, the farmhouse came into view, and Eric was on the porch, rocking slowly. He looked up, and for a moment, his weathered face showed only disbelief.
Grandpa, I know everything. The flowers, the house, all of it. And the wedding meant nothing without you.
I just wanted you happy, girl. The rest don't matter.
He pulled her close, and the old man who never cried let the tears fall into her veil.
I watched you drive away that day, thinking I'd lost you to their world.
You never lost me. I was just too blind to see what real class looks like.
They sat together on the step, the same step where she had once told him he was uninvited. Charlotte reached into the bodice of her dress and pulled out a folded piece of paper.
I couldn't read these at the altar. They were always meant for you. I vow to carry your quiet strength with me every day, to remember that dirt under fingernails is a badge of honor.
Eric's hand rose to his mouth. His shoulders began to tremble.
I promise that in our home, there will always be a chair for you, and our children will know who their real patriarch is. No society wedding, no fancy dress, will ever make me forget that the truest love I've known started right here on this porch.
She folded the paper and gently placed it in his weathered hand.
Girl, you've given me back my heart. That's worth more than any check I ever wrote.
He pulled her into his arms, and the dusk wrapped around them like a quilt. For a long while, neither spoke. The only sound was the wind through the pasture.
Now, let's get you out of that dress before the cows think I am getting married.
As dusk settled, another set of headlights appeared on the dirt road. Patrick stepped out, still in his tuxedo, and walked hesitantly toward the gate. Eric saw him from the porch and raised a hand, waving him in. Mr. Matthews, I failed Charlotte and I failed you. I am so sorry.
Son, get up. You are a good man who came to apologize. That's more than most.
Eric pulled him to his feet and embraced him without another word. Charlotte appeared in jeans and a flannel. Her wedding dress hung neatly over the railing.
And that down payment, it's already in a fund. Start looking for a house.
Only if you promise to visit every Sunday for dinner.
The three silhouettes on the porch, a new family forged against the fading light. 6 months later, a modest house with a sold sign stood under a bright Texas sky. Eric walked through the empty living room, his boots echoing, a quiet pride on his weathered face. Charlotte took his hand and led him to the mantel, where a small frame held a creased $400,000 check stub.
Every time I look at this, I remember who the real provider is. It's not the dollar amount, it's the love.
I'd write that check again in a heartbeat, but not for a wedding, for a home worth building.
He pulled her into a hug that needed no words, the empty house filling with a lifetime of shared silence. Later, from the front porch, Charlotte watched his old truck disappear down the dirt road. Patrick joined her, slipping an arm around her waist as the dust settled. The next morning, Eric stood at his pasture fence as the sun broke over the land. He tipped his hat to the light, and a profound peace settled over the quiet field.